Welcome back to part 2 in my What is Barak Karandul series. In short, Barak Karandul is the story of a ruined mountain hold remembering itself. The living returning to build it, enemies gathering around what is waking beneath it, and stranger figures standing at the edge between the story and the making of the story. Now, I don't want to be that guy at the party who comes and corners you and says, and then there was this one time in our D&D campaign where this happened and oh my gosh, we all laughed so hard. No. So I really just want to say, for anyone new here, I just want to orient you without making you go back and watch all 50 episodes. Unless you want to. First, there's what I would call the memory of the mountain. What started as a joke, a dwarven ghost mocking me, slowly became the story of Thardun, an ancient guardian tied to the shrine I was building. He was joined by two other ghostly dwarves, Helga and Drom, as they faced the Banshee sisters. When they were almost overwhelmed, the ancient guardian of the shrine appeared in the form of the White Dwarf. That was the first time the project really changed for me. The mountain was not just scenery anymore, it started to have a memory, if you will. I guess the second thing I would talk about is the living return. So once Thardun and company were resurrected, it invited more dwarves to come. And answering a mysterious call, Dorgan arrived with his mule Betsy. Through him, the hold began to become practical again. He brought the blacksmith, and together they helped rebuild the brewery, and the first real sign that Barak Karandul was becoming more than ruins and stonework. After that, more dwarves arrived, answering the call. The rangers, builders, warriors, and finally, Burl, his engineers, and his army arriving just in time to stand against a Skaven incursion. Third, the threats that gather around. As the hold began to wake, some force was calling into the world almost indiscriminately. It not only called dwarves home, it drew the attention of things beneath the mountain and beyond it. For example, early on, a Skaven assassin found the ancient Heartforge deep under the stone and began to understand that something powerful was hidden beneath Barak Karandul. The Skaven attacks, the dwarves held. They're not the only ones watching. Goblins have become interested in what the Skavens are doing. Other figures wait at the edge of the map. And somewhere along the greenskins, self-appointed Commissar Griblin is beginning to organize what may be the least stable revolution in fantasy history. Then, fourth, I guess I call it the edge of the story. This is where Barak Karandul gets stranger, and even some of my friends say, yeah, it gets a little confusing, Todd, because there is the story of the mountain, and then there is the story of making the mountain. I, Todd, exist at the edge of the world as a character. The person painting, building, failing, fixing, reflecting, and slowly realizing that this terrain project has become something else. I have Hybrid Hal. He began as part of the tools and conversations that helped shape the project, but over time he became a character inside the story itself. Not exactly a guy, not exactly a villain. He actually is tied to what I call the other, the strange force behind the Heartforge. But his efforts are not always clean or predictable. Well, strange things can happen. Sometimes that means ghost dwarves return to rebuild an ancient hold. Sometimes it means a goblin receives a confused mixture of Karl Marx and John Lennon lyrics and starts a tiny rebellion against his tribe. So yes, it gets complicated. The shape of the story is simple enough. It's a ruined mountain hold remembering itself. The living are returning, enemies are gathering, and at the edge of the story, the maker and his tools are starting to wonder what they've actually created. In the end, that's where part 3 is going to take us, because I began to think about what some of this represented thematically. Creativity, memory, imagination, the tools we use to make these things, and what happens when those tools seem to talk back to us. For now, I just hope this gives you a map. If you're interested in the project, you don't need to go back and watch every episode. You don't really need to know every name yet. And if you're like, I don't care about the story, I'm just here because occasionally you paint something interesting, that's cool too. You can enter through the painting, the terrain, the story, the shorts, or just the mood of the place. Welcome back to the mountain.